Staying in the EU any longer is dangerous. We are still subject to EU laws during transition. If the EU can't stop us from leaving without a deal, there is a risk that they will pass a law before the 31st of December saying that we will have to bail them out anyway. That's scary. We would effectively be bailing out our competitors for no reward. The UK is in a very great danger from an EU raid on its finances, and we must leave now. The UK should leave. Well, why? Why now? Well, there's a number of reasons. The main ones, in my humble opinion, are these. Firstly, the EU does not want to do a deal. This has been quite obvious for a long time. Oh, they were happy to do a deal with Mrs. May because she was a Remainer, licking the boots of the EU bullies, humiliating both herself and her country with her obsequious capitulation to every demand the EU made. The reason that situation was allowed to drag on was because every time the EU won another point, they thought up another one, and were gradually pushing the fence back, working towards a situation where we would have no longer been members, but would have paid the same and been under the EU jackboot as if we were still members. The gradual nature, point by point, was an attempt to disguise just how much ground the UK was losing, which has been the tactics that the EU has made ever since the common market was first created, gradually morphing into the fascist superstate it is now. That would have been the worst of all worlds. Members in all but name, but with no say in what went on. Not that we had as much influence as some Remainers seem to think. But now they don't want to do a deal, because the longer they keep us in the transition period, the more they will get us out. The more they will get out of us. And that would be an enormous amount, as I shall explain. Now, the Centre for Brexit Policy, which is a think tank backed by cross-party politicians and veterans of the national Brexit debate, has calculated that a 2-year extension to the transition period will cost the UK £380 billion. This will come from continued membership contributions, which is effectively taxation without representation, lost trade deals and this is the rub, being dragged into bailing out the EU after the coronavirus damage. Secondly, the people want out. Just consider these facts. On the 23rd of June 2016, more people than have ever voted for anything in British history voted to leave, despite the unfair government cheating by spending over £9 million on a leaflet telling everyone how bad it would be to leave, a figure not counted into the £9 million permitted expenditure for each side to spend on their campaigns. In 2017, the Conservatives, with a manifesto stating that we would leave, won the general election with more votes than any other party for 25 years. Labour also promised to respect the referendum vote, and the Liberals, who stated openly that they would remain in the EU, were wiped out. That means that 85% of the votes went to Leave parties. In the 2019 Euro elections, the Brexit Party won outright on a no-deal platform, and in the general election in December 2019, Bojo's Conservatives won with a landslide 80-seat majority on a Get Brexit Done pledge. Personally, I believe that means the government has a strong mandate to get us out. But it's the money they're really after. Let's face it, the EU was already in financial difficulty before the virus. Germany was on the edge of recession, Italy and France were both in the doldrums, and poor old Greece was, and still is, on its knees. Unemployment in the EU as a whole in January 2020 was 7.3%. In the UK, it was only 3.8%, with 1.3 million unemployed. It's worth mentioning to the youth who reckon they have lost their opportunities in the EU that unemployment amongst the under 25s in the EU is 14.7% against 11.3% in the UK. In France, youth unemployment is 19.8%. In Portugal, it's 19.5%. Italy, it's 29.1%. Spain, 31.6%. And in Greece, it's a whopping 32.4%. One in three under 25s. That's the Eurozone for you. The EU already had a large budget deficit and they were facing the loss of the UK membership fees, not to mention all the external trade tariffs that we pay. Now, this is a little known fact. The UK housewife, for example, will pay around 30% more for vegetables from outside the EU because of the tariffs. But that money does not stay in the UK. 80% of it goes to Brussels. This is on top of our membership fees. The 20% remaining covers the cost of collection. Now the EU is looking for our money to bail them out from the cost of the coronavirus. State aid is much less in the EU than in the UK, largely because of their state aid rules, although they have relaxed them. But of the 27 states, Germany has gobbled up 52%, over half of the EU COVID-19 state aid budget. The UK has been giving a lot more assistance to its businesses, so our infrastructure will be stronger and we will be in a better position than the EU to capture world markets when this crisis is over. So staying in will be dangerous. We are still subject to EU laws during the transition. If the EU can't stop us from leaving without a deal, I can see the risk that they will pass a law before the 31st of December, while we are still subject to those laws, saying that we will have to bail them out anyway. That's scary. We would effectively be bailing out our competitors when we have already bailed out our own industrial and commercial sectors to a large degree, and you can bet that the EU won't give us any of that bailout money to us. The EU has always proved itself to be devious and so committed to its political ideology that it doesn't care about its own people. That's one of the many reasons that we are leaving, but we must get out before their tentacles wrap themselves inexorably around our exchequer. See ya. Hi, I'm Stephen, and I hope this video gave you some food for thought. If you'd like to see more of the same, please subscribe. See ya.